Hello, welcome to another edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia. I'm your host, Tommy McIntyre Jr. Well, the Eagles got off to another great start, 2-0. Carson Wentz did it again. Man, it's going to be interesting this upcoming week. We'll be talking all things Eagles, and also, a little later, we're talking Phillies. They're on a little hitting streak right now. They got 2 wins picked up against the Chicago White Sox, maybe looking to be a little spoiler against the Mets. All right, keep tuning in. We'll be right back.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hello, and welcome back. All right, so I have a great panel with me again. Elvis Shalakis, thanks for coming on, and Trevor Gregoric coming on to talk a little Eagles. And it was a great week. We got another win, 2-0 now against the Chicago Bears. Let's bring up the little graphic now about what happened in this game. 29-14 win. It was a big win considering it was Monday Night Football. First time on the road, Carson Wentz in a hostile environment. Bears are not a team that anyone's considered to be a threat in the league this upcoming year, but definitely maybe an upgrade from the Browns. What did you guys see from this game? And what are you looking forward to coming up, hopefully, in this next game against Pittsburgh?
I see that Doug Peterson is really trustworthy, and you really trust his offense, especially going on 4th down on the first drive of the game. And like how, instead of just like passing and running the ball, just like any other team, Carson Wentz threw 6 passes on the first, 6 plays. You know, it's really fascinating to see how Doug Peterson is coming from an offensive coordinator in Kansas City to a head coach, and he's making all these tough yet very smart plays, and they pay off for him. The other thing I saw is that, I mean, this is a topic that has been going on since last year, the amount of drops the receivers have been having. I mean, if we are to beat Pittsburgh next week, we need to catch the football.
And Trevor, talking about those drops, Jordan Matthews, critical guy in Game 1, caught a nice touchdown pass from Carson Wentz against the Browns, but had that big drop. Didn't wind up costing the Eagles. They had a solid lead, but right in his hands, right near the end zone, possibly maybe would have been out the 1-yard line if he caught it. I think he had like 72 yards. What did you see from him? Do you think this is something, Aguilar has some drops as well, well, this is something that definitely probably will need to get fixed?
Right. I think if we want to continue to win throughout the season and continue to go on to beat the Steelers this week, we need to come out and we need to play our hardest. We need to stay focused. I think it's a big mentality thing. Jordan Matthews, he's known for not having like the best hands, but as soon as he fixes that, this offense could definitely be a threat to anyone in the league. And thank God, like other players stepped up, other areas of the team stepped up. Defense played great with 3 turnovers. Carson Wentz not throwing any interceptions for the 2nd week in a row. That's something that you really like to see, and I'm sure Doug Peterson is very happy with that as well.
Now, we mentioned guys that kind of stood up in this game that we needed, and Ryan Matthews was one of those guys. 2 touchdowns, really didn't run the ball a lot, only had 32 yards on the ground. But great to see him get in the end zone, obviously. What do you like to see from him? Obviously, Darren Sproles seemed like he got a lot of the touches early on, but he was able to be a part of the game, especially in the big second half for the Eagles offense.
I mean, personally, I just wanted to see him be healthy and to perform, because we are really stacked on a running back situation. We got Darren Sproles. He's kind of regressing, but he's more of a punt return guy. Then we got Ryan Matthews, who's really good if he's healthy. That's the big question, if he's healthy. And then we got Wendell Smallwood, which I saw was pretty good. I mean, we've been hyping up this guy ever since we drafted him, and it's really nice to see him to get some playing time. And then Kenyon Barner, one of the, I think, in my own personal opinion, one of the disappointments from last year. He's a horning and duck, so you know Chip Kelly brought him in over here. But I think he can do pretty good, because in like the system that we're using, I think he can practically excel, in my own opinion, in the system.
That was actually one of the things that was interesting about the game on Monday night, that they used Sproles early on. They didn't really use Kenyon Barner. I don't know why that was. Did you have any thinking behind that, Trevor, why they kind of went with Sproles early on?
I feel like Sproles is a good change of pace for the offense. He's quick out of the backfield, and he's quick even as a receiver. throwing him the ball, and just the change of pace can really catch defenses off guard. So that could definitely be why they're using him so well.
Now, we mentioned the Eagles' defense. Obviously, that was a huge part of the game. 3 turnovers. Any time you ever win the turnover battle, especially the way that the Eagles' offense has been great of not turning over the ball, you're going to win some football games. So speak a little about what you saw from the defense. You saw some sacks early on from Jenkins, Brandon Graham. Elvis, what did you think of the Eagles' defense against the Bears?
It's exactly what they needed to perform. And I said pressure Jay Cutler, and that's what they did. They even injured him, and he left the game early in the third quarter, which was nice. We saw.
I don't know if we're not saying to hurt anybody, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah, but yeah, the turnovers were huge, humongous, especially Nigel Bradham's almost pick 6. He got out the 1-yard line. And any other mistakes that the Bears did, we were the culprits because we told ourselves to pressure Jay Cutler. And when he does, he's not going to be good. He's not going to be an above-average quarterback. He's going to throw the ball on the ground, and he's going to make mistakes, just what we needed for him to do. And other than that, I mean, we got some standout stars like Brandon Graham, who had a terrific game on Monday night. And our defense is going to be one of the key factors for next week. That's all I can say.
Well, one of those defensive maybe problems during the game, what actually I saw, was the D-backs. Obviously, with injuries, we've kind of went down to rookies, guys that are inexperienced, and Ashlon Jeffrey kind of capitalized that on a big play down the field when Jay Cutler was still in the game, threw it down. What do you think is going to have to happen, unfortunately? The D-line is playing great, obviously. They're getting the pressure, but you're going to need those guys in the back end to help out. So what do you think, Trevor, is going to be critical in this game coming up?
Definitely. I mean, we're playing one of the best, if not the best, wide receivers in the NFL, and Antonio Brown, who can come up with huge plays throughout the game, and he's known for having really big games. So the Eagles, once again, they just need to keep up. They need to figure out early what Ben Roethlisberger is doing in terms of utilizing Antonio Brown, and they need to get a plan going and stick with that plan throughout the game if it works, and hopefully it does work.
Now, let's bring up the graphic, actually. We did make predictions. We all were right in that the Eagles would win the game, but some of us had some interesting choices. You picked Trey Burton as your MVP of the game last week, and it turned out to be a pretty solid choice. Had a touchdown, had some yardage, and Trevor, you picked Fletcher Cox. He was a big part of the defense, big part of the pressure coming in on the defensive line. I definitely think it was a solid week 1 for our predictions. But I guess the big guy that we kind of mentioned a little, but it's pretty much the spark of the town, right, is Carson Wentz. We will bring up his graphic and what he was able to accomplish in the game. Maybe his stat line didn't blow anybody away, considering that he only had 190 yards, but considering the fact that there was drop passes, there was pressure coming at him, of course. The offensive line had some little problems here and there. He was putting himself in harm's way. There's no question. He's going to have to figure out how to protect himself, not put himself in position to get beat up on those sidelines because his defenders were coming right for him. He's a rookie. He's a quarterback. There's no mercy when a guy's going out of the pocket. But what did you see from Carson Wentz? Can he continue this kind of 2-0? There's a lot of hype around him, but now coming into Pittsburgh, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be the real test for Carson Wentz. I personally think the Bears and the Browns are like a midterm exam, and the Steelers are going to be like some exam where you take to apply to like a fancy college like Harvard or something like that. But it's going to be a big test, and of course the Steelers are one of the most dangerous teams in the NFL right now, and it's really interesting to see how far the Wentz wagon will take us and how much the hype will last, even if Wentz does have a bad game. And his play, he makes audibles in the huddle. He looks like he's a veteran. He's been playing this game for like 5 years at least.
Yeah, Brett Favre actually just came on, I think it was on SiriusXM today or yesterday, and actually said that he thinks that this guy looks like a 10-year vet out there, just the way he's playing right now. Obviously, Doug Peterson has a connection with Brett Favre, being in Green Bay during the Brett Favre years in the 90s. So that's definitely a huge compliment. Trevor, talk a little bit more Carson Wentz. It's a big thing right now. What did you see from him in the game, and can he continue this?
Yeah, he looked very poised in the pocket once again against the pressure. He's not afraid to step up and throw the ball and take a hit. The hits, I think, eventually, if he doesn't become a little bit smarter, could take a toll on him. But if he just learns how to get out of the pocket, maybe get to the sideline if he's under pressure, throw the ball away, get rid of the ball when he needs to, I think things will be just fine. I don't think any injury will come to him, hopefully. But I think he looks incredibly poised, and he looks like he knows what he's doing out there, and that's what everyone wants to see, and especially Doug Peterson. I think he's putting a lot of faith in Carson Wentz, and everyone's starting to trust the process, trust the system, and that's what we need in Philadelphia right now.
All right, let's talk a little game. Why not? We got Sunday game, 4:15 home. It's against the Steelers. Let's see what our predictions are. Obviously, we got to pick Eagles. I mean, this is Sports Talk Philadelphia. It'll only be right. I got the Eagles 24-17. I picked Jordan Matthews again as my standout just because I feel like he didn't show up in the game as much as you would have liked with that drop pass against the Bears. I feel like he's going to have a comeback game. Carson Wentz is the type of guy that seems like he's going to come right back at him. He's not a guy that's going to hold any grudges saying like, oh, he dropped the pass, I can't throw it to him. It's a big target. That's one of the best receivers on the team. You got to go back to him. And now Nelson Aguilar, another weapon, another guy that had some drop balls, maybe not as bad, maybe because he had some coverage on him, so that the reason he dropped them. But why do you like him, and why do you like the Eagles 34-31?
I think he's bound to have a standout game. Last week I picked Trey Burton because he has been misused by Chip Kelly last year, and I thought that this was the opportunity for him to really shine on the field, especially with Zach Ertz being out last week. So another rookie last year that was really struggling last year, I think he is just bound to break through and to have a great game and to make a couple nice catches. I mean, there have been some catches where he could have made, like the underthrown ball that happened last week, and probably the missed horrible pass interference call last week. But, you know, he could have made that catch. That would have been an awesome catch last week. But like I said, he's bound to have one of those games where he just catches, like, I don't know, like 9 receptions, 139 yards, and a touchdown, I guess. So, and he's bound to have one of those.
Yeah,
games.
that's what we're looking for, right? I mean, he was a first-round draft pick. He is coming from the Chip Kelly era now that's behind us. But he did show great things at USC, so we hope that continue. Now, Trevor, you picked the Eagles as well, but you got Darren Sproles as your MVP. Same scorer as Elvis, 34-31. Why do you like the Eagles in this one?
I think this is going to be one of the games that comes down to like every little detail, and I think special teams is going to be one of those details that both teams need to focus on. And I feel like this is the time for Darren Sproles to pull out a punt return for a touchdown or a big play like that. He can be big out of the backfield if they utilize him well. Put him in the slot. He could be a game changer in this game, and hopefully that's what he can do.
I'm definitely looking forward to this guy coming in and really doing some damage, especially considering the fact that the Steelers, we have to talk about them. They are a team that is 2-0 in their own right. They're in the AFC. We're going to be facing their division now. We got Baltimore coming up as well, and we have the Bengals, all tough teams in this division. We have the AFC North coming in. It's tough. It's not easy. But I think that the Steelers are going to be a huge test, especially for, I guess, the psyche. Doug Peterson this week has been saying that this is going to be a measuring point for this year. Even if they lose, but they hold their own, let's say it's a tight one, do you think this will bode well for the rest of the year? Maybe change people's opinions? I know you, Elvis, even last week, really have high confidence in the Eagles this year. You think worst case scenario, they may only have 8 losses, so you're very high on this team. Where do you think they can go if they compete well in this game, possibly win?
If they compete well, even if they lose, I think it will be a huge confidence booster. Even if we lose by 3 or 6 points, I mean, sure, it might be heartbreaking, but knowing that the effort that we put on the field against a good team like the Steelers, whew, I mean, it's going to be fun. I mean, sure, we might have one in the loss column and everything like that, but I just think that, you know, against a team like the Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger and that combo with Bryant and Brown and D'Angelo Williams that is going to be in the backfield.
Yeah, he's been doing fantastic.
Yeah, and it's really nerve-wracking to think about the game. At the same time, it's going to be very exciting, and I know our fans will be really anticipating this game, and the link will be just, as the kids say, lit almost practically.
And Trevor, feel the same way? Obviously you're hoping the Eagles can pull this game off, but it's going to be a tough one. You're facing a team that many people predict could come out of basically the AFC and go to the Super Bowl this year. With a guy like Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger being so connected right now, it seems. It's going to be a tough task, especially for previously mentioned the defensive backs and the defense, as well as the offense. I mean, young quarterback. You have a Carson Wentz that has to deal with still maybe not as historic defense as it once was over the past years, but still a very good defense in the Steelers.
Right. It's definitely going to be a huge test, but I think even if we do, like Elvis said, if we lose by 3-6 points, it's going to be a learning experience. I think the Eagles still should definitely hold their heads high. I do think it's going to be a close game, though. I think both teams have something to play for. Eagles want to prove everyone wrong and start out 3-0 and beat one of the best teams in the AFC. And yeah, I'm anxious to see if that can happen, because that could definitely boost the confidence of the whole team, of the whole organization, and that's definitely what everyone wants to see.
Well, guys, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this game on Sunday, because it seems like there's something about this team. I don't know what it is. It's very different from last season or the previous years. Carson Wentz just has something about him that I really like, and I like the coach and Doug Peterson. And I think this could be an interesting year. So
I personally think, like, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I personally, like, I have a good feeling about this year. Like, it's not like last year where we just hyped it up and we're saying, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl with Chip Kelly, but But this year it feels different because we had like expectations and everything. So I'm really excited for this year.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We're going to take a commercial break. Come back with a little Phillies talk. Trevor, thanks for being on. We're going to be getting Kevin Cook to come in, and yeah, we'll see you right back.
Wake each morning and get lost in the adventure, knowing that you will be ready for wherever the day takes you. Learn from those willing to teach. Their wisdom and their strength will become yours. They will impart to you a tradition of education nationally recognized for its value. A tradition worthy of your best efforts. As young men and women of LaSalle, we will invest in you the guidance to blaze your own path. To go forth into the unknown with new certainty. To realize your full potential as professionals, as leaders, as citizens. To take up your place as the accountants, speech therapists, journalists, and CEOs of your generation. To impact this city and the world beyond. These adventures are yours, and you are ready for them. Explorers are never lost.
Hello and welcome back. So we're going to talk a little Phillies. I want to introduce my guest, Kevin Cook. Thank you so much for joining me, co-producer here on SportsTalk Philadelphia. Talk a little Phillies. We're getting down to that time now, end of the season. We can get up that graphic now, just kind of a recap of what's going on right now for the Phillies. So pretty much 69 wins, get in there. Maybe we'll get over the hump, get to 70 wins, definitely. Franco, Joseph, Hernandez, big-time players for the Phillies this year. What have you seen so far, especially of late now? We picked up a nice little series win against the White Sox. Elvis, what have you seen from them? Where do you think this team could go in the future years? Obviously, it's still in a rebuilding phase. We've talked about it maybe last show a little bit, but where do you see this team going?
I mean, I see this team taking it one step at a time. I mean, it will take a little bit more time, I guess, than to like go back to like the 2007 to 2011 era where we just won every single NL East championship and then we just went to the playoffs. But I see this team, like I said, taking it one step at a time. We have prospects that are about to come up, and we get to see them shine a little bit in spring training, just like a sneak preview of them. And personally, I think like this team was just almost like a rebuilding and more of like what's the word? It's like a year of learning for our rookies from last year that are moving on to this year. They're learning more about the game, and for the rookies that are coming on this year, I think it's a step forward in the organization for now.
Now, Kevin, obviously, I mean, we've been here on Sports Talk talking Phillies for a while now. We had some good years in the past, the 08 through 2011 days of the Roy Halladay's, the Cliff Lee moments, Cole Hamels, Ryan Howard, still in the team, but obviously this probably will be his last year. What is your kind of take on this season as a whole as it's starting to wrap up the end of the month?
Well, kind of just like Elvis was saying, they're taking one step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and you're kind of seeing that team took a long time to build up that 08 to 2011 run. It took a very long time for the Phillies to assemble that. And we're seeing how long that is, and we've been lucky enough to been able to get rid of pieces like a Hamels that brought back a lot of good young pieces. And we're just starting to see what some of those pieces were like with Alfaro being called up, and some of the other pieces who we expect to see pretty soon, like Nick Williams, the outfielder. So all in all, it's looking up for the future, and I'd say right now we're only a couple years removed from the Phillies playing competitive baseball and pushing for an October baseball season.
Well, as of late, we said they're hitting well. We can get that graphic about the home runs they've hit this year. Guys like Ryan Howard, probably in his last year as a Philadelphia Philly, unfortunately. The time has probably come now. It's run its course. His contract is about up. I mean, let's be real. He probably wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for that massive contract he signed back when he was still putting up those big-time numbers. But Franco, 22 home runs. Joseph, 20 in only a short amount of time, which is really impressive. And Galvis, of all people, hit 20 home runs. I never would have thought back in the day that Galvis would have hit 20 home runs in a season. So what do you think about that, Elvis?
I wouldn't have guessed that Galvis would hit above 10.
Yeah,
this season.
exactly.
I mean, I didn't know he had the power for it, but, you know, it's nice to have power. It's almost reminiscent of like I said, the dynasty era of our team, where we had guys like Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and Pat Burrell and other players who just displayed power and got runs in by using their bats. So it's nice to get like a sneak peek of some power, especially guys like Galvis and Adubel Herrera who are hitting home runs. I think Adubel's like up to like 15 or 16 today. So it's really exciting to see. And I mean, other guys like Tommy Joseph, like he only played like below 100 games and he already has 20 home runs.
Yeah, no, it's impressive.
In my own opinion, he's my comeback player of the year because how like injuries ravaged his minor league career.
Absolutely.
Then he came to the majors.
He was originally a catcher, so yeah totally changed.
He had so many
mindset.
concussions and everything, and I personally think like the way he just bursted up onto the scene this year is pretty unique, and it's very fun to see.
I do want to mention, Kevin, we brought this up about Tyler Goodell getting hit with a pitch the last game. Looks like he'll be okay, but definitely a scary moment. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it definitely was a scary moment. Obviously, you don't want to see any of your players go down after getting hit in the head, and especially when they're a young one like Goodell. Even though he hasn't been playing that well this year, he's definitely a player that we're looking forward to seeing develop with this team. And he could turn out to be a player. I mean, we got him in the Rule 5 draft. We've seen plenty of outfielders come in here via the Rule 5 draft that turned into good players like Adubel Herrera and also like Shane Victorino. So you never know what that Rule 5 draft pick can provide. And Goodell, again, he wasn't playing up to expectations this year, but he could turn into a valuable piece for this team down the line.
All right, that's it for Phillies talk. Let's get into a little Fast Five action. Why not? Okay, so Elvis, let's start it off. Most disappointing Philly this year for you?
It might seem kind of controversial, but I personally picked Maikel Franco. The one word that kind of described Maikel Franco is inconsistent. This guy, it seems like his batting average is decreasing, and every time he comes up to bat, he looks uncomfortable. He reminds me of Pat Burrell. Whenever he used to swing and miss, his helmet would come off. That's exactly the way Franco bats sometimes. And whenever he crushes a ball, it's amazing to see. I love the guy, but he doesn't perform on a consistent basis. And personally, like I think we expected too much from him, but like the numbers he put up, I guess he could have done a little bit better, in my own opinion.
All right, Kevin, who are you? We talked a little about prospects in the Philly system. Who are you most looking forward to seeing in the next year, most likely coming up?
No doubt, I think it's Nick Williams. This guy's been raking down in the minor leagues. He was a part of that great AA team that they had, and he's currently, I think he's still in AAA right now. So I'm really excited to see what this guy can bring to the majors.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime you get some young guys coming up, this is a guy that came in the Cole Hamels trade. So if you can definitely see some dividends in that trade, it'll be great just to get a nice piece, an outfield piece, a guy that can be around for many years to come. Let's go back to Elvis now. Sam Bradford, Carson Wentz. Who's going to finish the year the most touchdowns?
I personally think it's Carson Wentz.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Stevie Wonder, like I used to call
Stevie
him.
Wonder.
I think he's going to do good with the Vikings. He showed like some serious flash. Like, is that Sam Bradford on the field? Like, it doesn't even look like Sam Bradford. It seems like Sam Bradford from like what we saw from Oklahoma, where he won the Heisman Trophy back a couple years back. But Carson Wentz, I think the way he's going, and if he keeps this up, I do think he will have more touchdowns than Sam Bradford.
I like it. Okay, Kevin. Las Vegas just put out prediction. Sixers. I know we haven't talked Sixers that much. The season's still right around the corner. A lot of hype around this team, but Vegas putting up 27.5 over/under. I think it's pretty high. I don't know about you, but I mean, 10 wins, 27.5. I mean, I'm hyped for the Sixers, but that's a pretty big over/under.
Yeah, that's it's definitely an elevator to the top compared to the 10 that we saw last year. But I think that could be a possible number. We got to see. I mean, you got to think about it. They're bringing in a number of lottery picks with Simmons, Embiid, Saric, and then other talents that have succeeded somewhat in the NBA, like Bayless and Henderson, as well as
like Sergio Rodriguez coming in
exactly a guy from overseas who has some experience playing international, like Rodriguez. So we'll see how this all gels together. But I think that 27.5. I think that could definitely be achievable for the Sixers if all those pieces work out. That's best case scenario.
Yeah. All right, final Fast Five question, Elvis. A little last Eagles. How many turnovers do the Eagles get? That's a big thing. Last game we had 3. What do you think? Turnovers for the Eagles to win the game. How much do they need to win?
They need, I say a minimum of 2. Maximum of I don't know about a maximum, but a minimum of 2. We need an interception to get the ball back in a good field position, and we need a fumble. I don't care if it's Brendan Graham or Fletcher Cox or any of the front 7 that we have. We need to strip the ball, especially if we have to divert any completions, any passes to for Antonio Brown, or we need to slow down D'Angelo Williams because he's told him he was pretty good. But other than that, we need exactly 2 turnovers.
Well, guys, thank you so much. That's going to do it for this show with Sports Talk Philadelphia. I want to thank Trevor Gregoric for coming on to talk Eagles. Elvis for talking a little Eagles and Phillies, and Kevin Cook, as always, to talk a little Phillies. That does it for Sports Talk Philadelphia. I'm your host, Tommy McIntyre Jr. You can catch us on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Gmail. You can go on YouTube. You can go on LaSalle TV online and check us out. Thank you so much. Please join in next week because we'll be back again to recap the Steelers win. Yeah,